4 teams left alive. Only one who can be victorious. One reigning world champion, one previous major champion, a team who won every regional in this split, and finally, a team on a massive underdog run. With only one winner possible today, it's going to be as cutthroat as possible. It's Championship Sunday, everyone, so sit back and enjoy the show. The final tournament day starts off with the reigning world champions BDS facing off against the winter major champions of Karmine Corp. Blue Ball attempt to take down one of the most prolific orgs in Rocket League history to make their way to the grand finals. All 6 of these players have such a great history in Rocket League esports. Rise, the man who has played on every team under the sun and succeeded in all of them. Seiko, the wonder kid who came from Endpoint and now has cemented himself on the top of French Rocket League. And of course Monkey Moon, potential GOAT status, the best player of RLC SX, the 2021 Fall Split champion, and of course the 2021 World Championship player. Against this incredible team is another with equally incredible history. Firstly, the North African player Itachi, the first and best to ever do it from his continent. A multiple time regional winner, he is of course joined by the great Exotic, being on a multitude of amazing French teams, and he has finally found his home at the top of Europe on Karmine. And last, but certainly not least, Vatira. Simply, he's probably the best player in the world at this current time. The series begins and game number 1 was not the start that Karmine were hoping for. A missed touch on the backboard from Itachi cost them the first goal, and another mistake and a counter from BDS sent the world champs 2-0 up to win the game. Game 2 was utter domination from Karmine. A 5-0 scoreline, BDS did not have a chance. They very swiftly tied up the series. Great defensive effort and a missed touch from Karmine though is all that BDS needed to win game 3. The series becomes 2-1 in their favour, and KC followed that with a timeout to try and regroup. 4-2 victory once again in favour of BDS is what was needed to send them to match point. Game 5 and Karmine did find their footing. A few close calls on the side of BDS, but Karmine persevered and started clawing back at the series. Game 6 rolled around and Karmine, especially Vatira, exhibited some beautiful Rocket League. A 3-1 win for Karmine, they were able to tie up the series and send it to game 7. A timeout was called by BDS. With only 30 seconds after they started game 7, they were already 3 goals in the lead. With 2 minutes left on the clock, it was already over for Karmine. 6-1 for BDS with still 2 minutes to go. As I said, it was too much. The game ended 7-3 in favour of BDS, and they took the series and head to the grand final. The second match of the day and the last 2 teams to introduce. Representing the Middle East is an underdog run of a lifetime for Rule 1. Mawson, for so long, he was the next best in MENA, but never at the top. Finally with Rule 1, he exceeded their rivals of Falcons, and this storied player had made his way to the top of the region. Joining him on the pitch is something that may never be achieved again. 2 twins as teammates, Rawas and Kaliers, have played everything together and their synergy is unmatched. These 2 players have literally spent their whole life together, and here they are now on the biggest stage destroying some of the biggest teams. It won't be easy though, as up against them is Team Vitality, perhaps the most historic organisation in Rocket League esports. Alpha 54, some may say the best player to have never won an RLCS LAN. He has been so good during the online era and the best on all teams he ever played on before. His best opportunity yet to cement himself at the top after winning 3 regionals in a row. Joining him is another French legend of Radisson. A member of the kind of new wave French squads, he has been vital to the success of every team he has been on. And last, and probably the player most talked about, the Wonder Kid Zen. Just eligible to play a matter of months ago, since joining Vitality he has only ever lost 2 series. He has never ever lost a tournament. Could that change today? It is David and Goliath who'll prevail. Game 1 and the intensity was cranked up to 1,000. Overtime is where the game ends up with 19 shots for Rule 1 and 16 for Vitality. A 35 shot game for the first of the series, but it was Vitality's defense and more specifically Zen's that done enough to win that first game. Game number 2, and it was then again to push Vitality into another game win. An overtime goal from the young prodigy sent Vitality 2-0 in the series. Another game, another overtime. This time, it was the longest overtime in RLCS LAN. 12 minutes of overtime played, one of the most insane individual games in RLCS LAN history. A masterclass of defense from Rule 1 where they made 29 saves, breaking the RLCS LAN record. But it was still not enough to stop Vitality. Match point for Vitality. A timeout for Rule 1 was not enough to slow down Zen, or even the rest of Vitality for that matter. A 4-0 sweep eliminates Rule 1 in one of the most intense series of all time. On to the lower bracket finals. One of these teams will make the grand finals, the other will fall only inches away. The Winter Major champions against the hottest team in Europe right now. It was an exciting match for everyone watching. Game 1 and Vitality were hot on their feet. Yet to lose a lower bracket game yet, they kept that up, winning the first of the series 3-2. A comeback attempt was made from Karmine, but they couldn't catch up to this super team. Game 2, and it looked like it was going to be Vitality's game once again, but Radisson accidentally saved Zen's shot, and the game went to overtime, where it was Karmine who were able to prevail. Vitality, not fazed by the loss, were able to bounce back and recover well. A Game 3 victory put them back in the driver's seat once again. As Karmine called for a timeout to try and get their heads back in gear, it paid off tremendously well. A win in Game 4 for Karmine, they made the series even once again, 2 apiece. These two teams just could not stop trading games, as with a dominant victory, Vitality took the 5th game, winning 5-1, but Karmine Corp answered back quickly in Game 6 to send this series all the way to Champions Field on Game 7. Vitality timeout where Coach Ferry had hoping to deal with some of the nerves of these players. A hard task, but I think at this stage if anyone can do it, Ferry can. A 2-0 start for Karmine in the final games, it looks like they just might take it. But a massive comeback for Vitality to bring it back to even means that this series went to overtime. It was only 7 seconds needed for Alpha 54 to fly in off the ceiling and get the series winning goal to send Vitality to the grand final.
But I gotta ask your thoughts on what you think of Team BDS in the grand finals. You not only have to beat them once, but twice in a row. Give me quick thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's not gonna be easy. And on that, I'm gonna ask if any one of you, because, all right, I'm gonna need you guys, because you know, like we're pretty tired right now, to be honest. Like the series have been pretty long, and I know you guys have been cheering for BDS, so I'll give that one after the bracket reset. But for the first series, I want you guys to have a great experience, but I want us to have a great experience. Root for us, and in exchange, I will trade my Vitality flag against an NA flag if anyone has it right now.
The grand final, a rematch of the RLCSX online era. Two staples of the Rocket League esports scene battle it out. For BDS, they need to win one best of 7. Vitality needed to do a bracket reset in order to win. The crowd on their side, Vitality had an immaculate Game 1. A 3-0 victory, a perfect beginning for the crowd favourites. In regular time of Game 2, Vitality barely survived long enough to make it into overtime. But as that overtime began, BDS took advantage of some overcommits and got an overtime winner to make the series even. With Game 3 comes another reset for all players on the pitch. This game was where Vitality took advantage once again. A 4-1 victory puts them back in the lead. Game 4, when Vitality decided it was time to play free play. It was ridiculous. BDS, to put it lightly, got bullied in that game, with BDS seemingly just getting freestyled on at all times. 5-1 in the game, and more importantly, Vitality made it to match point 3-1. BDS did not want to go to the bracket reset, and this Game 5 win was certainly the right step in that direction. They were able to take the series 3-2, but they still had work to do. A chance on net to tie up the game in Game 6, Vitality denied with one of the clutchest bumps of all time, a counter-attack goal, and they secured the game. Vitality was granted the bracket reset and needed to do it all again. The second series of the grand final. No one has an extra life at this stage of the tournament. It is all or nothing. Mistakes will be punished. Although a close 0-second attempt from Vitality, it was BDS who was able to take it by the end, winning Game 1 and gaining some confidence. A quick recovery was found for Vitality in the second game of the series. Although in a close affair, they held on to their 1-0 lead for as long as necessary and tie up the series. Game 3 comes around and both teams were trading goals back and forth. Eventually it settled into an overtime, but a massive mistouch from BDS cost them the game, and it was Vitality to take the series lead 2-1. Vitality went into Game 4. At this point, they played 17 overtimes already, the most ever in an RLCS LAN. They've already played 20 games today alone, and they never seemed to let that faze them, as in Game 4 they just looked unbreakable. Zen was unbeatable, Alpha was unbeatable, Radisson was unbeatable. BDS, after their Game 4 loss, were left with match point against them. Vitality needed just one more game to win the event. They were unbeatable. A 6-3 win in Game 5, Vitality won the series and more importantly won the major, meaning they didn't only win all 3 regionals this split, they also won the major. Vitality made history. With the major coming to an end, this may have been the highest quality gameplay we have ever seen. One of my personal favourites events. I could not believe what I got to watch. We are very lucky as Rocket League fans to have such an exciting game to watch, and I think every single major is something that is history in the making for this esport. I'm in a privileged position to get to work on this game and cast on it whenever possible, and I can't wait for the World Championships. That's all for the major. I hope I see you again at the Worlds. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the recap, and I'll see you next time.